Amongst this COVID-19 pandemic. Hi everybody, what's going on? It's your girl Justine coming back at you with another video. Today's video is going to show you all how to create your own cloth masks that are like detailed and structured and also reversible. So if you would like to know how I made my reversible cloth mask, please stay tuned. Alright guys, so before we get started, we want to go ahead and go over the tools that you would need for this project. First, you will need some fabric scissors. You will also need some paper scissors, pencil or tailor's chalk, seam ripper for messing up because it might happen, thread, some elastic. I pre-cut mine to about 8 inches. Your own pattern. This one was one that I made. I just used some regular printer paper, but you can use pattern paper or you can use the manila paper to create your patterns if you plan on keeping them for the long term. I have 3 patterns. I have the kid size, the standard size, and then the large size. Your fabric, and of course your sewing machine. Alright guys, so let's go ahead and get to the sewing machine. This pattern calls for cutting 4 pieces of fabric, so you have a 2-layer mask. One side is printed, the other side is solid, making this reversible. But you could also do a printed and a printed. So here you just want to sew around the curved edge at about a 1/2 inch seam allowance, and my pattern piece is already allocated for the 1/2 inch. The green fabric I have here, I doubled because this is a thinner fabric. After doing that, you want to take your fabric scissors and cut small slips around the curved seam, but not through the seam allowance. This allows it to be more malleable around the curve when sewing once we open it up. Now you're going to press your seam allowance open. Normally you would want to use a iron to just press these open, but I just use my fingers to open them. Now we're going to take it to the sewing machine and do about 1/8 a stitch on that seam allowance, and this is called an edge stitch. Here we're going to do the turn. You want to do it at a 1.4 stitch length. Stitch about 2 times to go across that seam. Then move it back up to 2.5 stitch line and then continue down the remainder of the mask. So now that both sides have their edge stitch and they're nice, neat, and structured, you want to put right sides together, seams matching seams. And we're going to stitch along the top portion of the mask. Now we're going to take our elastic. Mine is about 8 inches, and then you're going to cut 2 of those. Now you're going to insert it in between the mask on the right side of the fabric as pictured here, and then you're going to sew down the initial part of the elastic, continuing down and tucking and doing the same exact thing on the other side. And now we're going to finish the other side of the mask. On this part, it's crucial that you leave a space open, so we're just going to close up the bottom of the mask. We're just going to close this up past the initial center seam, stopping about 1/4 of a way from the bottom. You want to trim off the excess threads from back stitching and initial threading. And we're going to flip this right side out so we can continue the finishing on the mask. After you pulled everything out, made sure everything's in line, we want to tuck the opening part into itself. And then we're going to just do a top stitch amongst the top, and I do about an 1/8 of an inch top stitch around the whole mask to make it nice and seamless. And there you go, guys. That's how you finish this mask. It's super easy, simple, and quick. Hope you all enjoyed.